What kind of life did the ancient Romans actually lead? Hey guys, it's Chris. Today we'll journey through a typical day in ancient Rome. From sunrise routines to midnight feasts. We'll uncover surprising facts about their education, work, entertainment, and social custom. By the end, you might find that their lives were not so different from ours. If you find this video interesting, please support us by hitting the like button. Now let's get started. Originating as a city on the Italian peninsula, ancient Rome grew its influence to become a vast empire, dominating the entire Mediterranean region. The vast expansion of ancient Rome is attributed to its ability to incorporate local cultures and religions, while also introducing its own governance and practices. By flexibly adopting foreign ideas and technologies, ancient Rome developed a political system and infrastructure that has lasted until the present day. The fact that some waterways from that era are still in use today indicates their advanced level of technology. Morning routine of ancient Roman. Their daily activities revolved around the sun's movement, typically waking up at sunrise around 6 a.m. to start their day. Interestingly, ancient Romans didn't wash up immediately upon waking, reserving that ritual for later. This was because public baths, more than just places for hygiene, were social hubs, where both the nobility and commoners would gather in the early afternoon, discussing everything from business to the latest gossip. Therefore, few aristocrats had bathrooms, and most commoners lacked running water due to their housing condition. After getting ready, the common people often visited the homes of the nobles for various reasons. There, the nobles would give out baskets of figs, other fruits, and cheese for breakfast, free of charge, and cash was also given to the poor citizens in particular. In addition, the common people consulted with the nobles about their problems and asked them to put in place a business arrangement. This custom might surprise many, given the typical image of a divide between aristocrats and commoners throughout history. In ancient Rome, however, it was common for the aristocrats to support the common people and ask them to vote for them in elections. The work of ancient Romans. Once they completed their morning meal, they embarked on their day's work. The common people's work included not only farming and winemaking, but also carpentry, shoemaking, and other manufacturing activities, as well as those who ran a trade. Also, surprisingly, some professions that required a high level of knowledge, such as tutors and doctors, sometimes had highly qualified slaves. On the other hand, senators, the elite among the nobility, had a major role in discussing all Roman affairs. As a result of ancient Rome's immense power, many people were concentrated in a small city, which posed many challenges. There was much to discuss, from crowded alleys and dirty streets to challenges posed by limited land for living. However, the council members' work hours varied, with some discussions lasting until nightfall and many days ending in the morning. Ancient Roman schools. While adults were engrossed in their work, children attended school much like today. Though the curriculum and setting might surprise you, however, common children often received education not in formal schools, but in uninhabited houses or even on the streets. Even so, many children learned to read, write, and do simple calculation. Notably, compared to other ancient civilizations, Rome boasted a high literacy rate. After completing primary education, children from poor families went to work, while those from wealthy families moved on to secondary education, where they studied classics, astronomy, mathematics, geography, etc. Around the age of 15, children learned the art of oratory, an essential skill for success in ancient Roman society. Incidentally, since the average life expectancy at that time was about 30 years, a 15-year-old was considered an adult. While ancient Rome boasted a well-developed education system, it's intriguing to note that secondary education and beyond was predominantly reserved for males, reflecting the societal norms and expectations of the time. This is because the citizenship of ancient Rome was limited to men only, and there were many facilities in the city that women were not allowed to enter, resulting in a large gender disparity. Ancient Rome was characterized by its vibrant and outgoing culture. Post their work or school, they would break for lunch. It was common for ancient Romans to eat out for lunch. This is related to the difficult housing situation of the common people. Due to the scarcity of land in ancient Rome, commoners often resided in 5 to 6-story apartment buildings. In such housing complexes, where rooms were crammed together, it was difficult to install running water and to secure a proper kitchen. So people had no choice but to cook simple meals without fire or eat outside. This living situation led to the rise of restaurants offering affordable, light meals and outlets that sold per-cooked dishes. In fact, the ground floors of apartment complexes often had taverna stores, where people could buy food, bread, wine, and eat it on the spot. A popular dish in ancient Rome was porridge made from wheat. Other side dishes included stews, skewers, omelets, and salads. There was also a similar form of restaurant with lodging called a popina, which was similar to a taverna and was like a wine bar. Furthermore, fast food restaurants already existed in ancient Rome. This was called a bar, and a jar containing food was embedded in an L-shaped counter facing the loggia, allowing people to quickly buy what they wanted to eat. Incidentally, it is said that the reason for embedding the jar in the counter was to keep the food moist and cool. By this time, ovens and hearths had also been developed. So the technology of ancient Rome is still amazing. Nobles and commoners alike frequented public bathhouses for their bathing rituals. After lunch, it was finally time for the ancient Romans' favorite bath. Public bathhouses at that time were like commercial facilities, equipped not only with bathing facilities, but also with training rooms, restaurants, libraries, and even theaters. Public bathhouses were equally accessible to everyone, young and old, men and women, nobles and commoners, and even slaves, as long as they paid a fee. They also served as a social gathering place, where everyone enjoyed chatting and amusement transcending barriers, engaging in stimulating ancient Roman pastimes. After their refreshing baths, many Romans would head to the iconic Colosseum, not just an architectural marvel but a symbol of Rome's grandeur and might, offering a variety of intense entertainments. The Colosseum, an iconic symbol of Rome's grandeur, is still a popular sightseeing spot in Italy. The Colosseum, as we are familiar with it, is still overwhelmingly large, but only the skeleton remains today. It is estimated that the Colosseum was a huge facility that could accommodate 50,000 to 70,000 spectators at that time. The Colosseum also offered free admission to anyone with an invitation, with a seat number. This was because the aristocratic organizers, seeking favor from the masses, covered the event's costs. This also reflected the haves and have-nots relationship between the aristocrats and the common people. The Colosseum's entertainment, from public executions to gladiator duels, stands in stark contrast to today's entertainment forms, showcasing the vast differences in societal norms and tastes. In public executions, criminals who were sentenced to death were chased around by beasts of prey, such as bears and lions, and were eventually turned into food for the beasts of prey. When the guilty man avoided the attack to save his life, the crowd booed, and the more blood that flowed, the louder the cheers. In addition to these man versus animal fights, dueling gladiators for their lives were also very popular. Although many gladiators used swords and spears, they had to fight with their upper bodies naked. The reason for this was that when a gladiator was wounded and blood was spilled, the crowd went wild. The electrifying ambience of Colosseum events could captivate and overwhelm even the most stoic Roman spectators. Who then would choose to become gladiators on such a daunting stage? Most commonly, they were slaves or prisoners of war condemned to death. For some, becoming a gladiator was a forced choice to make a living. Given the life-threatening nature of the job, it might seem unlikely that anyone would willingly choose to be a gladiator, right? Surprisingly, however, gladiators existed as a proper profession, and there were some who pursued it of their own volition. In the past, there were gladiators who were active as knights in the Roman army. and even women of the upper class. Although the gladiators were fighting for their lives, there were cases where the losers begged for their lives, so there were not always fatalities. Also, if a gladiator continued to win, he or she would eventually retire and become a free man. For those who were good at fighting and found it rewarding, gladiators may have been, in a sense, a vocation. A feast that lasts until midnight. After the adrenaline-filled entertainment, Romans would turn their attention to dinner, often an elaborate affair. Especially if one was dining with the nobility. For commoners, lighting oil was a luxury, making it customary to conclude dinner by daylight and retire at sundown. The staple diet consisted of porridge, soup, and dried meat. However, occasionally, a noble they encountered at a public bath might extend an invitation to a lavish banquet. Nobility frequently hosted these banquets, often inviting their peers. These weren't merely drinking gatherings, but significant social events to bolster one's reputation and foster relationships with influential figures. Therefore, it was important not only to provide sumptuous food and wine, but also to create an atmosphere. For example, by being particular about the room decorations and providing dancers and acrobats. The dining etiquette of ancient Rome also presents intriguing insights. In a dining scene quite different from today's, guests would recline leisurely, and notably partake in their meals, using their hands, a far cry from our modern table manners. And they discarded food remnants like clam shells and meat bones on the ground. The slaves washed their hands clean, but some wiped their hands with their own clothes, and in such cases, the dirty clothes were disposed of as they were. In addition, a big burp, which was often produced after tasting a full meal, was rather welcome. At times, the burps of others would follow in response to someone else's burp, and the organizers, who were always concerned about the satisfaction of the participants, were relieved to hear it. After the lavish 7-course meal, which included everything from appetizers to desserts, the evening often continued with wine drinking until midnight. While wine in ancient Rome was typically diluted with water, the sheer volume consumed in one evening often left attendees inebriated by night's end. Some nobles, after overindulging, would purge only to continue feasting and drinking. The reasons for such excessive consumption can be perplexing, given the frequency of these banquets, often several times a week. Maintaining social ties among the nobility was a demanding endeavor. Thus, as the night ends and a new day dawns, we've journeyed through a typical day in the life of ancient Roman. This narrative provides a snapshot of a day in the life of an ancient Roman. However, given the Roman Empire's 1200-year span, daily life undoubtedly varied across different eras. A comparison of lifestyles across these varied periods would indeed be fascinating. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more insightful content. Take care and see you in the next video. Goodbye!